Sandra Madafri here. Hope you're having a great morning. I'm just going to get a few things. Having a lot of tech issues this morning. Not quite sure what's actually going on. So just trying to sort a couple of things out before we go live. Sorry, guys. Just wait for people to jump on while we're waiting. Sorry, just give me 1 sec. I'll just jump on. Okay, here we go. Okay, sorry for that. Welcome everyone. I've had lots and lots of tech issues this morning. My apologies. PowerPoint problems, lots of things. I think it's the Mercury retrograde we're in at the moment. But let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. Put my slides on and start my slideshow, which is not my original slideshow that I had for this webinar today. Unfortunately, that disappeared. So lucky I had a copy of it, and I was able to quickly jump on and sort that out very, very quickly. So welcome to Stress Hacks for Business and Life. And why I say for business and life is that, of course, as we all know, if you have stresses in business, you tend to bring it home. And if you have, I'm going to pop the chat box up, everything's falling apart, guys. Pulling this off tonight. One of those days. Okay, my chat box is up, so say hello if you're here on the webinar. If you're watching on Facebook, also say hello. So as we know, we cannot separate our personal lives from our business lives and our business life from our personal life. If we have stress at work, we tend to, no matter how hard we try, we unconsciously bring that home. If you have stress in your personal life, again, you unconsciously bring that to work as well. So let's have a look at some of the symptoms of stress and how you can actually recognize stress and why it's important. The emotional stresses that we have, and these are some of the ones that people tend to identify with a little bit easier, is that you can actually have depression or anxiety, anger, irritability, or restlessness. Hi, Jody. Hi, Tracy. Lots of tech issues this morning. You won't even believe it if I tell you. You can feel overwhelmed, unmotivated, or unfocused. And this is really interesting because some people don't actually think that being unmotivated actually has anything to do with stress. But I actually spoke to a client last week who who said to me, I'm unmotivated. I'm not doing what I need to do because I'm unmotivated. And when I dug a little bit deeper, it was actually that they were stressed out. They weren't unmotivated at all. It was just all the overwhelm and the stress was causing them to be unfocused and unmotivated. Trouble sleeping can be a big one. That's one that a few people would recognize. It's very hard if you're stressed to go to sleep at night or you sleep too much. Hi, Sandy. Yes, absolutely. Tech issues are a perfect example of I just didn't stress out with 4 minutes to go. Hi, Melissa. With 4 minutes to go, I actually got the old PowerPoint that I had and had to redo it. So it's not my usual PowerPoints that I'm used to presenting, but look, it doesn't matter. The topic's still there, the information's still there, so that's enough. Sleeping too much can be a big sign of stress. People don't want to have to face or cope with what's going on out there in the world, so they tend to oversleep. It's a big sign of depression as well. Racing thoughts or constant worry. People, when people say they worry a lot or their monkey mind's going all the time, it could be a sign of stress as well. Now, one of the reasons why I like to talk about this is because I think it's really important that if you do have any of these symptoms, we're going to go through a few other symptoms in a moment as well, some physical symptoms. But if you do have these sorts of symptoms, that you need to dig a little bit deeper, okay? Don't always take things on face value. What's actually going on? Problems with memory. The reason why that can be a symptom is because you're overloaded, you know, overwhelmed, and the unconscious mind, where our memories are kept, doesn't know, you know, what to look for, what to grab onto. So what happens is you tend to have really bad memory, can't remember anything. So again, you need to dig a little bit deeper. And the last one is making bad decisions. You know, most of what we do, our behavior, 95%, even a little bit more, people are saying these days, comes from our unconscious mind. So if you've got a lot of stress going on, the unconscious, you will make decisions. Your behavior is based all on all the filtering that's going on with your unconscious mind. So, you know, this is why it's really important that in business, and why the wellness industry in the business world, in the corporate world, has become so big. It's because as a corporate person, as a business person every day, you need to be able to make good decisions. And of course, you know, this year has been incredibly stressful for business owners. And, you know, you can just imagine this morning, the hairdressers, how stressed out they must be with the amount of people that they've got ringing constantly to book appointments. Here's some of the physical symptoms that you might get. Now, these are some of the symptoms that people don't realize. Headaches or dizziness. Headaches, yes, a lot of people do get tension headaches from stressing, worrying too much, but dizziness is also a factor. Muscle tension or pain, stomach problems. We all know all about gut health these days. Chest pain or a faster heartbeat. I know that whenever I'm stressed or a little bit anxious, I do get chest pains. And also sexual problems. The other one that's not here that I want to just quickly, briefly talk about, because it was my biggest symptom, is weight gain. And for many years, I was just kept putting on weight, and I couldn't work out what was going on. And it wasn't until probably this time last year that I realized it was all due to stress. So let's have a look a little bit at the next slide and how this all works. So what actually is stress? Okay, so stress is your body's way of responding to any kind of demand or threat. A sense of danger, I guess, okay, whether it's real or imagined. And this is the problem, is that these days we have a lot of imagined stress that is in no way danger to our physical body. So what happens is the physical body kicks immediately into what we call the fight or flight response or reaction. And what happens is when, you know, there's a sense of danger, the thought process of danger kicks in the amygdala. And if you're not on the slides, if you're on the Facebook, please register, because we've got a slide here showing all of our brain and things like that up here. So what happens is the hypothalamus, I call that the hippopotamus, kicks in, the amygdala kicks in, and what happens is it sends a signal to our adrenal glands that we are in danger. Now, the best way to describe this is imagine a deer who is in the middle of the jungle and they're grazing or they're drinking at the water hole, and all of a sudden they sense a lion coming to eat them. Their fight or flight mode kicks off and they either run to get away from the danger or they fight. Now, humans, that is our normal natural instinct that happens to us as well. So we have a sense of danger and we either sit and fight or we run. Now, the problem with us humans is that because of our thought and thinking process, we then create a pattern of imagining that fight or flight is still happening. And even any little major stress, or even minor stress actually, but any stress that is not an actual physical, anything to do with physical harm to our body, but even thinking, oh my God, I've got too much work today. Oh my God, how am I going to get all my work done? Or anything like that. Our thought process kicks in. The unconscious mind has no idea that it is not a physical stress. It reacts to a biochemical reaction in the body and goes into fight or flight, creating the adrenals to then push adrenaline through our body, thinking that we either need to turn around and fight or we need to run. The problem is that there is actually no danger for real. It's a perceived danger. And then we end up with way, way, way too much adrenaline in our blood system. And too much adrenaline in our blood system creates a multitude of problems. We're going to have a look at that in a minute. So that's basically how it works. So it's really, really important that whenever you begin to feel stress, I'm going to give you some really great hints and tips on this webinar today, that you sit with whatever's going on, whatever thoughts are going on in your head, because most of the time, and I would say that probably these days, 99.9% of the time, it is not an actual physical danger to the body. And we've kicked in that fight or flight, so to speak, just by our thoughts. So by changing your thoughts, changing the way you react can actually change the way the brain works and the amount of adrenaline that goes through your body, and cortisol as well, because then what happens is you release cortisol to counteract the adrenaline, and it just goes on and on and on. And like I said, guys, I've learned this the hard way a couple of times. You would think I would know, because many years ago I actually had adrenal fatigue as well. So it is something that I've had to learn the hard way. Yes, the hard way. So now, a lot of people say to me, how am I losing weight? And one of the things that I did during COVID was to sit back and really have a really good look at what was creating my fight or flight reactions in my body, and started to work on some tools and tips to get that down, get myself in a much calmer position, and I inevitably have lost quite a bit of weight over the last lockdown, which has been 100 days, I believe I heard on the radio today. So let's have a little bit more of a look at a few more things. Okay, so the first thing I want to have a look at is the sympathetic nervous system. The best way to remember these nervous systems is S is for stress, okay? So some of the things that happens when we activate the sympathetic nervous system, when we go into the fight or flight response, we are activating that sympathetic nervous system, that the adrenal glands, the amygdala in the brain, and it creates all the cortisol and all the adrenaline that's running through our body. The unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between past, present, or future. It just doesn't. The unconscious mind is not logical. It is our conscious mind that has the ability to know the difference between past, present, and future, and have logic. So it goes to show that if you keep thinking about something that's happened in your past, the unconscious mind doesn't actually realize that you're not there anymore. It thinks that you're still in that situation. So if you keep thinking about stresses from your past, the unconscious mind will think that they are stresses in the present, and will create that ongoing sympathetic nervous system reaction. Now, the good thing about this, guys, is that if you realize that the unconscious mind doesn't know anything about past, present, and future, you can actually take yourself out into the future. And that's one of the ways that we actually can manifest, is by getting the unconscious mind to think that we're out into the future as well. Okay. The sympathetic nervous system releases cortisol in the body, which, as I said, creates another big problem. It increases your blood sugar levels. So an increase in adrenaline creates an increase in cortisol to counteract the adrenaline, which then increases blood sugar level. And that is one of the reasons why you actually put on weight. And it suppresses the immune system. So this is one of the reasons why you've heard a lot of people talking about this, that it was so important to not be stressed during COVID, because the more you stress and the more fear you have and the more you go into fight or flight because of the COVID-19 and what's happening, it actually suppresses your immune system and the more likely you are to get sick. And it leads to weight gain, as it says. It affects the hormone levels via your thyroids as well, because all your hormone levels are out of whack when you're getting too much adrenaline in your body and too much cortisol. And like I said, I know that from a personal point of view, because that's exactly what happened to me. And it creates physical and mental sluggishness, which makes it really difficult for you to cope every single day. It really makes it hard for you to get out of bed in the morning, for you to do what you have to do every day. So it's really important that you understand what stress is all about, how it's caused, and have tools in your toolbox to deal with it. So let's have a look on this diagram, some of the things that cortisol does. As I said, it decreases serotonin, which creates depression. It decreases sensitivity to pain, so you feel more pain. The part of the brain which actually feels physical pain is the same part of the brain that actually feels emotional pain. So that is why the unconscious mind tries so hard not to get you to feel any type of pain whatsoever. But what happens is, once you have too much cortisol, it actually attacks that part of the brain and it decreases your threshold to pain. And you'll find that a lot of people, because I've worked so much with people with depression, they actually have physical pain in their body. It is real, okay? It increases your blood pressure. It heightens memory and attention, and it increases your blood sugar. It also suppresses your immune system, okay? So really, really important that we go into what we call the parasympathetic nervous system. And if you can't remember between sympathetic, parasympathetic, the way I got taught was sympathetic is stress, parasympathetic is peace. So the peace nervous system is where you want to kick yourself into and go from that stress nervous system into the peace nervous system. It counteracts all the symptoms of stress. It counteracts all the symptoms of a sympathetic nervous system. So here are some things that you can do right now to beat stress. The first one is moderate exercise. And please, when I say moderate exercise, guys, please, if you have any injuries, if you have any health problems, check with your doctor before you do any exercise whatsoever. So moderate exercise improves blood flow, brings sugar and oxygen to the brain, okay? So it improves the blood flow that brings the sugars and the oxygens to the brain, so it helps your brain function a little bit better. When stressed, the brain, that's supposed to say, builds toxic waste in the body, so the extra blood flow will actually help remove the toxic waste as well. Okay, it releases endorphins. Endorphins are the feel-good drug, and it reduces anxiety. Now, moderate exercise can be anything at all. Just go for a really light walk. It doesn't have to be going to the gym and working out really, really hard. It can just be a nice, walk outside, or, we're going to talk a little bit about something else that you can do too. But just a nice little walk outside will help with that. Eat well. It is so important that you eat well, that you take nourishing food, because your body functions a lot better when you're eating good, healthy, if you can afford it, organic food. It just functions on another level. Okay. Yes, this one I don't like, because I am an avid coffee drinker, love my coffee, but too much caffeine creates creates those stresses in your body to kick off faster. So too much actual coffee creates more adrenaline in your body, and it creates more cortisol. So you want to reduce coffee, keep it down to a bare minimum. I used to drink a lot of coffee. I'm down to 2 a day now, and I probably should take it back to 1. But it's really important that you understand that caffeine, and this could be caffeine in tea as well. It's not just coffee in drinks, you know, all those Red Bulls and all those sorts of drinks that have caffeine. Too much caffeine creates a rush of adrenaline through the body, which creates cortisol, and it creates your sympathetic nervous system to kick in. So not good for you. Journal and express gratitude. Okay, so here's some things that you can start doing straight away. So journal and express gratitude. Start focusing on the good things and the things that you are happy for in life. That will get you into peace. I call it the peace sympathetic nervous system very, very quickly. Okay, yoga classes. I know that at the moment here in Melbourne we can't do that, but you can do some lots of stuff that's online. Do some nice yoga classes because that calms you down very, very quickly. Practice acceptance. This is a big one. Sometimes, you know what, there are things that you just cannot change. And if you can't change something, there is no point fighting it. You need to just accept it and work on what is the trigger that set you off with whatever's going on around you. And sometimes you just have to say, can I change this? No. Okay, well then what can I do next? Because really, when something's already happened, you can't change it, but it is up to you what you do next. So practicing acceptance, and I have a whole nother topic on this. Practicing acceptance is really, really huge to getting you out of that fight or flight response, okay? Practice mindfulness. Stay in the present moment. Remember I said before, the unconscious mind does not know the difference between past, present, or future. So stay in the present moment. If you stay in the present moment, what is real right now? What is actually happening right now? And what can I do right now that helps you get back into parasympathetic very, very quickly as well. This is another one. This is one that I like. Listen to music and dance. There is nothing like moving your body to get you out of a state that is not a good state for you. So, you know, if you that stress state or whatever it is that's going on for you, if you start listening to music you love, move your body, dance. Then there's all type of music you can listen to. I love listening to classical piano music sometimes, if I'm feeling a little bit stressed out. I love to listen to chants. There's a beautiful chant on YouTube called Sanctuary Om, which I love. You know, if I wake up and I'm feeling a little bit out of sorts, to put it on really loud and let it vibrate through my whole house and dance, move your body, move your body. Nothing better than moving your body to kick in the endorphins to help you change that state very quickly. Deep breathing and meditation. Without fail, breathing, deep breathing, just centering yourself, coming back to the breath, focusing on the breath, going in through your nose, down to your belly. Or if you can't breathe all the way to your belly, just into your lungs, and then bringing it back up will activate the parasympathetic nervous system immediately. So does meditation. It takes you straight into that parasympathetic very, very quickly. And the best thing here is that if you find that you find this difficult, is every time your thoughts sort of go away with you and you start thinking about the situation that's created the fight or flight response, just acknowledge it. Yes, 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 I understand. And come back, bring your thoughts back to that breathing and that meditation. Okay. Physical touch and connection. Unfortunately, physical touch for a lot of people is not possible right now because of COVID, but connection, pick up the phone, ring someone, talk to someone, connect with someone, that will help you very, very quickly. Do not, if you are in a real state of flux in fight or flight, in that sympathetic nervous system, if you're really stressed out, the worst thing you can do is to try and get through it all on your own. Reach out to someone. Okay, get more sleep. It's so important that you should be sleeping 8 hours per night. This should become a routine. This is one thing that a lot of people, when one of the first things we talk about when they're not functioning, whether they're business owners or not, when they're not functioning properly during the day, one of the first things I ask them about is, what time do you go to bed and what time do you get up? You should have a routine. The body loves routines. Go to bed at the same time every night and wake up at the same time every morning. The body loves routine. It might be a little bit hard at the beginning if you're not used to it, but eventually the body will get into a routine. If you find it hard to go to sleep at night, one of the things that you can do is actually journal out your thoughts. Journal out all the thoughts that are in your head from that day, put them on a piece of paper, and then you actually don't have to think about them anymore because they're there. The other thing is, if you create to-do lists, and you go to bed with a to-do list, knowing what you have to do the next day, you don't have to be thinking about tomorrow I've got to do this and tomorrow I've got to do that. That's some of the problems why people can't get to sleep. It's just tiny little things, but they become big things. So at night, our unconscious mind is trying to process everything that we've done during the day, or it's trying to remember what you need to do the next day. So if you write it down and have it on a piece of paper, it helps you to get to sleep. You can go to sleep knowing that you've already looked at your to-do list for tomorrow. You already know it's written down. You don't need to remember it in your head. So really, really important. Take up a hobby. Do something that you like. You should do something that you like every single day. Something tiny that you like every day, whether it's something like having a cup of tea, herbal tea, because we're supposed to be reducing our caffeine, remember, but having, something that I do is I like to have a cup of tea on my balcony every single day, or just sit back for an hour and just listen to an audio book. But every day you should be putting time in your planner to do something that you like every day. I did a Facebook Live I think it was last week or the week before, where I said, do less to do more. Sometimes we need to just take a breath to regain our composure, come back into balance to be able to do more. One of the reasons why we go into sympathetic nervous system and overwhelm is because we're trying to do so much and we don't actually take a breath and take a step back, and we become so overwhelmed. So one of the things that I do is I actually have planned breaks during the day to do things that I like. Or if I wanted to do a hobby, you can do a hobby. Years ago, I used to take breaks when I used to knit, or I used to do embroidery, and I'd have, an hour every single night where I do some of my embroidery or my cross stitch or stuff like that. So make sure you schedule it in. You should be scheduling me time into your planner first, because it is that me time that will bring you back into that parasympathetic, and not just in the moment, but throughout your whole day. And the other thing you should be doing, and I don't think it's on here, is that you should be waking up in the morning and having at least 1 to 2 hours. The first 1 to 2 hours of your waking day should be no social media, no checking of emails. It should be you time, taking charge, and you please not control. It's a big difference, but taking charge of your day in the sense of doing something that you like in the morning, like meditating. If I don't meditate in the morning, my whole day's gone. It's just, I can't get myself back to a place of balance to get my day scheduled as I want. So I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is meditate with deep breathing exercises. Then I will look at my planner, take charge of my day, what I've got to do today, and do whatever I do. I do something different every morning. Some mornings I'll go for a walk, other mornings I'll just go outside and meditate, or some mornings I'll just lie in bed for about an hour and listen to an audio book. Whatever it is, you can do whatever it is, but take charge of your day. Make the first hour all about you. And you will be surprised, if you begin to just do this, how much better you cope with anything that life throws up for you for the rest of the day. Okay. Create a vision board and focus on your goals. Okay, so one of the things that I do every single year is create a big vision board. I put it somewhere that I can see it, but this year I've gone even another step forward. I have a massive whiteboard here in my office. It's just over there, and I have goals and things written all over it, and I'm constantly looking over at it during my whole day to focus, to remember why I do what I do and what my aim for the day is for everything. And occasionally, at the moment with my mastermind group, we're going through a little bit of a challenge that we're doing, and I've got that stuck up on the whiteboard as well, so I can have a look. So you can create a vision board and focus on your goals. You can have post-it notes if this works for you. I've got clients that have post-it notes or big butcher paper, and they write their goals and they stick them in places around that they can see them. I've got one lady who has hers. She has a his and hers ensuite, and she's put it up in her ensuite so that every morning when she gets up to go and have her shower, it's, you know, she sees what her vision is, what her focus is every single day. Okay, because remember, one of the reasons why we get into sympathetic, and one is that perceived threat that something's going wrong, but two, what happens is then we can't get out of it. We sort of then become like what's called, you know, like a roller coaster of jumping on the thought. And what happens is you have the thought, it creates an emotional reaction, a biochemical emotional reaction in the body. That biochemical reaction goes back up to the brain, and it becomes a cycle. So you need to break this cycle. So any of these things will create a break in that cycle immediately. And the big one that I love to do is challenge your thoughts. As soon as you notice that you're going into fight or flight, just sit down for a moment. And I know I've heard people say to me over and over again, sit down, I haven't got time. I usually go into, you know, because they're going into overwhelm. But the problem is they don't get anything done because they stay in that overwhelm. You're better off completely stopping for 5 minutes, taking a couple of big deep breaths, count to 10, and then challenge whatever it is you're thinking. Is it real? Because I will guarantee you that 99% of the time, the thought that has created the fight or flight response in your body isn't even real. It is just a thought. Okay, and this morning when I got up and everything started to go wrong, I could have had lots of thoughts in my mind, but I went, you know what, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to take a breath, go and have a look at what I have got saved from yesterday's PowerPoint, and let's move forward. I've got this, I'll get this done. Okay, because I can still deliver value to everyone on this call, on this Zoom, and even on Facebook that's watching live on Facebook, without having all the PowerPoints. So, you know, having the PowerPoint didn't need to be perfect. It was nice. I had lots of beautiful graphics in it, but you know what? It doesn't matter. You still got the value. So that's the important thing, okay? So challenge your thoughts. Are they real? Is that threat real, or is it just something that you have created and that you believe to be real? And you know what? You can't do anything about what's just happened, but you absolutely can respond to what you do next. Whereas if you're in sympathetic nervous system, you will react to everything, and reacting does not get you to where you want to be. So that's it for this morning. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you for the glitches. Sorry about putting up with all of that with me for not having the PowerPoint the way I would have liked to. It doesn't matter. But thank you so much for being here. Again, for anyone who watches this, you can find me just under Sandra Modaffri on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram. I do have lots of videos, lots of webinars on LinkedIn. So if you want to subscribe to my channel, please do so. If you want to join one of our groups, please do so. I've got 2 amazing groups, great community. where I jump in and try and jump in every single day, not on the weekends. The weekends are for me, and give some hints and tips and some things to help create the business and the life that you want. Oh, thanks, Desiree. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Really, really important. I'm very excited here today. Yeah, going to the hairdresser ASAP, and really excited. Well done, Victoria. Well done, Melbourne. We're on the home stretch. So thank you, everyone, for watching. I look forward to seeing you next week, next Monday morning, 10 a.m. every Monday morning. There is a webinar on a specific topic. If anyone wants to reach out if you want any help with anything that I speak about. I would love to have a further chat with you. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. I look forward to seeing you all next week again. Bye for now.